You're listening to Storage Nerds Podcast, where we unravel the best-kept secret of the real estate investing world, the storage industry. Join the grassroots guru in self-storage, Stacy Rossetti, in insightful discussions about finding, funding, and running these spaces, allowing you to yield the highest returns possible. Get your foot in the door on self-storage and discover how to properly purchase facilities, negotiate with sellers, and close the deal without worries. Start unpacking that investment wisdom with Stacy right now.
So the deal that I'm going to show you guys today is one of the deals that our virtual assistants found for our students. Now it's going to kind of just go over that process so you could see, what you could be doing. Honestly, you could be doing this yourself if you want. You can go out and, just call owners and put offers in. You don't have to hire, virtual assistants or do turnkey acquisitions. But I really, really push just calling the owners, asking them if they'd be interested in just getting an offer on their property, but actually giving them an offer, right? Because I do talk to a lot of owners quite often, and they say that a lot of people call. They say, hey, would you be interested in getting an offer? But then they never get an offer. In fact, they get calls every single week, but they rarely ever get an offer on their property. So if you are going to call owners and talk to them, follow through and actually do what you're going to say. Otherwise, why are you wasting your time? Right? You know, so that's what we do. I have 15 virtual assistants. They call owners all over the country. We've called every storage facility in the country pretty much outside of primary market, hedge fund properties. But pretty much any owner where we can get a hold of them and talk to them, we've called every single property. I can promise we've called every property in the country. Now, that doesn't mean that we got a hold of them, right? That doesn't mean that we were putting offers out on every property, because really when you put offers on properties, it's just really about timing. I mean, the owner could just say yes, they could say no. I mean, and then once they say yes, you have to get the information from them in order to be able to give the offer. And a lot of people, a lot of owners, they'll say, yeah, I want an offer, and then they'll never give the information or stuff. So there's a whole bunch of different, different types of calling owners and actually being able to fall through. So we have called probably every secondary and tertiary facility in the country. I'm gonna say this, but and we have that list as well too. So we've built that list up. But the truth is that, for every 50 owners that you talk to, only one of them is going to want an offer, right? Every 50 owners. And that's not even every 50 phone calls. That's every 50 owners. So for instance, like one of my VAs, on average, they call anywhere from 20 to 30 facilities a day. And we have what's called the reason I know this is because we keep track of it, first of all, but they do an end of shift report every day. And they put how many calls they did, how many warm leads, and how many hot leads. And I can see them, calling anywhere from 20 to 40 facilities a day. And and they barely ever get any warm leads and rarely ever get any hot leads. Okay. So so just think, if excuse me, if you just had one virtual assistant calling for every 50 owners that they talk to, one owner is actually going to want to get an offer. All right. So it's really a numbers game. Okay. Now, I talk about this a lot in my course. And then also in the coaching program, really in the course. And there's cold calling. And then there's also going on to Crexy and looking for deals, or talking to a commercial real estate, broker like Jake is, and looking for deals. And then there's also where you could send leads out. I mean, sorry, you could send letters out, and then they'll call you. And those are all three different types of deals. Right? It's three different types of owners, three different types of facilities, three different types of leads. All right. And you want to make sure that you differentiate between all the different types of leads that you have. So if we're cold calling an owner, that's a totally different type of lead then not as then when you send a letter to an owner. right? And then it's a different lead from when you talk to a broker. So like in-house, we have like one virtual assistant that does nothing but talks to brokers and calls and talks to brokers like on Crexie and LoopNet and stuff like this. And then we send out postcards, right, to owners, and then they will call us back if they're interested in selling. And then we have cold calls, right? So this is like us just randomly calling owners. And so we kind of really do all three of them. And each of them is a different type of lead. So if we send a letter out and some owner is trying to call us, then they're really like, they're interested in like actually giving you information. They're interested in giving you all the information you need so that you can give them an offer. They want an offer, right? It's a very good hot lead. Whereas if you're randomly just calling people all the time, just calling owners, I mean, that's like more of like a warm lead. It's like a lot of work to do that. So it's just a different way to look at it. I try to do all of them actually because we want to be able to, we want to know every deal out there. We want to know every facility out there. But now you have to remember that, you guys are all out there trying to get into the investing world. But guess what? I'm out there with 15 virtual assistants calling every storage facility in the country. And if I'm doing it, I can guarantee there's other people that are doing it as well too. There's not a lot of people that do like, do turnkey acquisitions like we do, but all of these bigger players, they all have a team of acquisitions, virtual assistants or acquisition specialists that are calling owners. So you have to make sure that you understand the numbers game. So, so when we get into this lead that I'm going to talk about today, you have to understand how much work it took to get this lead, first of all, and to actually get the owner to give you the information that you need in order to run deal analysis. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. Okay. And then on top of that, you have to get the information from the owner, and then you have to create this, like, this analysis. And that also takes quite a bit of work, right? And then to actually get to the point where you can give an owner an offer and then get them to really want to, to be interested in the offer that you gave them. That is like a very rare instance, very rare. It never, ever, ever happens except for every once in a while. That's it. So you have to remember that this is a huge numbers game and you have to have a lot of grit and you have to really work hard to getting to the point where we're at, like we're at on this lead that I'm going to show you. Okay. All right. And then see, John says you put $87 million worth of offers. Do you mean that much in offers waiting for the sellers to respond? Yes. Exactly. Yes. So we'll put offers out, and what we do is like once we get all the information out, we get to the point that we can get them to the offer, because the way that Pipedrive works, and you don't have to use Pipedrive, right? It's just this is how because we have a lot of leads, so we needed something like a vehicle to manage all of our leads. But when you get to the point where you know that valuation, and actually we just put in like for the valuation of what that lead is, because there's really two different types of numbers, right? It's the number like what you want to offer, right? And then there's the number that the owner wants. And that could be like close, the same type of a number, or it could be like way off, right? So for instance, like we just made an offer on a property, I can't remember where it was, but it was like $400,000. When the owner wrote back and he was like, you're like way off. Like I would never sell this property for 400 grand. So way off could be 600 grand or 800 grand or $1 million, in the owner's mind, it could be whatever it is, right? So, but we just put the number in on the number that we're putting the offer in. That's how we evaluate the property. So we don't know really what the seller wants. We just know what we're putting the offer in for. So it's $87 million worth of our idea of what the property is valued at. Okay, that's really where it's at. Okay. All right, let me show you. So I was going to get into first of all, this facility that we found is in Texas. I have a really amazing like all my virtual assistants are like amazing, honestly, but I have a really, really good virtual assistant in Texas. And it's so funny because last year we were working Texas, like we've been working all the states, right? But like we were working Texas, and it was very, very difficult to find leads in Texas last year. It really was very difficult. And I don't and the market in Texas has shifted. And this is really one thing that's like really I love about having turnkey acquisitions at my fingertips is that I really have a very good idea of like the market for every single state in the storage market, right? Because like we're calling the owners. And last year, I mean, we had two virtual assistants working Texas because Texas has like, 5,000, 6,000 storage facilities. We had two virtual assistants calling Texas, and it was very, very difficult to find leads in Texas. And it was even more difficult to find owners that would be able to, work with us on the types of prices. We did close a couple of deals last year, but it was very, very difficult. Whereas this year, like the market has changed in Texas. So if you're interested in Texas, you really should be calling and talking to owners. Owners have really changed their mindset in Texas, and they're like wanting offers, right? Which actually it's kind of like nationwide, but it's just very interesting because we were struggling last year in Texas. So this lead that we have is in the Austin area. Okay, so not in in the Austin, like Austin metro area, but kind of outside the Austin area. So if everybody knows Texas, right, you know that like you have the I-35 corridor that just goes from Oklahoma, it goes from Oklahoma City. I don't, it probably goes even further north, I don't know, but from Oklahoma City all the way down to San Antonio. And that 35 corridor is like being built out, like Oklahoma City all the way down to San Antonio. It will become this like massive, huge, like just one big metro. My personal opinion, it will become this way. I remember because I grew up in Austin, so I know Austin very well, right? And it takes about 3 hours to get from Austin to Dallas. And when I would drive from Austin to Dallas, there was like nothing. Like even going through Waco, it was just like, oh, I just missed Waco. And now you're driving from Dallas to San Antonio, and it's just like one city after the other, right? It's just like really growing. And so we really don't do a lot of stuff along the I-35 corridor. I tell all my virtual assistants, I'm like, just stay away from that area. Like you need to be an hour on each side, outside of that area. Okay. And but she did find this deal, which is in Kingsland, Texas. And Kingsland, Texas is it's like an hour, at least an hour or further outside of Texas. It's near kind of Marble Falls and Granite Shoals. And in that area, I'm going to tell you, it's a very good area to be investing in because it's that's like Austin. It doesn't anybody know about Austin? Y'all can just put it into the chat. But like Austin is spreading so much that it's really going up. It's like out into Dripping Springs. It's going up into the Granite Shoals area. The Spicewood area is where it's at. So this is a Kingsland, Texas lead that we have. And I'm going to get into, I'm going to pull the Google map up here. And let's do, so Kingsland, I really love it. And I really appreciate everybody tuning in and just listening to me like ramble on about storage investing. It just, because it really just makes me so happy. Okay, so this is Kingsland. Okay, here it is. Okay. Oh no, this is Kingsland, Georgia. Crap. No, it's not. Is it Kingsland? Yeah, Kingsland, Texas. Okay. I was like, that does not look like Texas at all. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here's the Austin area. Here's San Antonio. Okay. Here's Austin, Canyon Lake, huge big lake with a lot of RV parking. And then here is Kingsland. Okay. So Austin is essentially growing towards Spicewood right now, but really from like Lakeway to Marble Falls is about maybe 45 minutes. So it's not really too bad. And Lakeway is really like when I was growing up, Lakeway was like country, but now it's like really part of Austin, right? And so this is where the property's at, and there are huge developments going on in this area. So I would say from going Austin is going out towards this area. Now Kingsland is considered country. Has anybody been to Kingsland? Y'all can put it into the chat. Kingsland's like, considered like a little country town. I don't know what the population is actually. Let's look it up and see. What's the population of Kingsland? Kingsland, Texas population is how much is it? 7,000. Okay, so it's not like a big area, it's not a big town or whatever. And Marble Falls is also like not that big of a town. Horseshoe Bay is not that big of a town, but this area has quite a bit of people living in this area. It's growing very, very fast. And yeah, see, you could see it's just going very, very fast. And it will only just keep getting better, but it is kind of a little bit country. So it's like that Texas, like it's the Texas hill country is what it is, which is very beautiful and stuff. So anyway, so we found this this facility, Absolute Storage. Let's find it actually. Absolute Storage. Okay. And in Kingsland. And the way that we found it is we just we virtually drive for storage is what we do. That's how we find our facilities. We just go on Google Maps and just call all these people. So this one's called Absolute Storage. Let's see, where is Absolute Storage actually? Okay, actually let me get the address. Hang on, let me pull this up. Is it here? Yeah. It's 4605 crappers. Did the wrong thing. 4605 Skyline Drive. 4605 Skyline Drive. Let's just pull that up here. In Kingsland, right there. Okay. Okay. All right. This is it. Okay. And so we called this owner. So it's right here. Let's just zoom out just a little bit here. Okay. So here's the main road, and it's just right over here. And it's not on. You can see. Look, it's not on Google Maps, right? So this is a storage facility that does not have a website. It does not have the phone number. It doesn't have a website or anything. Let's see. It does come up with pictures. Let me see. Actually, let's look and see. Does it come up with Storage Kingsland? Maybe it does. Texas. Is that it? Or maybe this is, wait, is this it? No. Is this it? LBJ storage? No, it's not here. Okay. There's a lot of, look, if you put it on satellite view, you could see a lot of storage facilities here. Is this it? Yeah, I think this might be it. Well, actually, no, let's drop down and let's take a look. Yeah, this is it right here. So this one is not on Google Maps. Okay, so here's Absolute. This is the good thing about virtual driving for storage, right? You just see the phone numbers right there, so you can just call them. That's exactly what we do. So this is the property right here. Okay, so this is where we basically just call this owner and just see if they're interested in getting an offer. That's all we do. And then so that's what happened is we called the owner interested if they can get an offer, and then they said yes. Okay. So what happens when they say yes is that we in Google Drive, we create a folder. Okay. And this is what our folders look like. You can see that we have the competitor. So basically we just name it the name of the facility, Absolute, storage. And then we have competitors, county information, deal analyzer, demographics, executive summary, maps and street view, the offer letter. Once you put the offer letter out, radius plus, and then regrid, right? So this is kind of what we're using to pull data, from all of our properties and stuff. Okay. And so we create this folder, and then this is where you try to get all the information. A lot of this information you can gather yourself. You don't need the owner to look at the competitors, get the county information, look at the demographics, go into radius and pull that information, or regrid and pull the information out, right? So as soon as we know that the owner wants an offer, we create this folder in Google Drive. Okay. And then the main thing is that we need, obviously the numbers from the owner so that we can put it into the deal analyzer. But I at least wanted to show y'all that this is really every single folder looks exactly like this. Okay. And then what happens is we create the executive summary. So I'm going to click on this. And the executive summary is like the OM, right? It's like gives the summary of the whole entire property. And this is what we share with our students so they can see all the information about the property. All right, so you can see here that the number of units is 88 units. It's on 0.69 acres, so there's like no room to add on. Okay, it is what it is. Vacancy rate's 2%. It's full. Every facility in this area is going to be full because it's just a booming area. And it's making $62,000. Its insurance is $3,400. The property tax is $3,176, and the utilities is $720. Right, so this is some of the information that we gather from the owner, right, to run the numbers. But really on my deal analyzer, the insurance cost, the property tax, and the utility costs are really just a formula for us, because we set it up on the deal analyzer to be a formula. So we really don't have to ask the owner for expenses, because when we run our deal analysis, and I'm going to show you the deal analyzer here in just a minute, but when we run our deal analyzer, we know what our expenses are, and we have a formula for every single one of our expenses, which is in the deal analyzer. So, okay, so the notes, the owner said that the storage facility has never been vacant for 6 years, and he plans on raising rent next year because his rent is way too low than his competitors. Okay, so there is that. All right, that's what it's looking like. So it's a good looking store. It's a very, very good first, storage facility to buy in Kingsland, Texas. Here's the demographics. This is what we looked up. The population within a 3, 5, and 10 mile radius. It's got 22,222 people. Right, that's a very, very good number, for storage. And then here's the regrid information. Regrid is where you can pull up the property report card. All right, so here's the information with the taxes and the value of the property, what the county is valuing the property at, etc. Okay, how big the acreage is. That's what it looks like. And then you have like pictures, overviews and stuff of the picture of the facility, and then where it's located in Texas, right? So we call that the bird's eye overview. And then we have the competitors, right? So we saw those on Google Maps, LGL store, I'm sorry, LBJ self-storage, right? And then Hill Country Stores, they all kind of look the same, honestly. Kingsland Storage is an indoor one. And then Raven Storage, or Raven or whatever it's called. And US Storage, and Earthly Treasures, Prairie Creek. Okay, that's the competitor. So this is what we call the executive summary. And basically what it is that I was just tired of opening up every single one of the folders to look at all the information. So I just, told the virtual assistants to put everything into one PowerPoint presentation so that I could just look at everything like super quick. That was really the purpose of the executive summary. And then also, another thing I was going to tell you too is that everything that's in the folder, right, is everything that I need in order to make a decision on whether or not it's a good deal. And what that means is it's everything that the lender is going to need in order to, see if it's a good deal. And it's also everything that a private lender like a private money lender would need, and it's everything that you would need and a buyer would need. So really, when you compile all that information and put it into the folder, you're saving yourself, your lenders, your buyers, if you're going to wholesale it or whatever it is, you're saving them a lot of time and effort on putting that whole package together. Okay. So now, so this is basically the numbers that he gave us. Remember, he said it was 62,000 income, and there's the 88 units. It's a total of 13,160 square feet, and it's 2% vacant. Okay, the market cap rate, we ran the numbers at a 6 cap, right? Now, it is country, and one could argue that that's too low, but the truth is, and what I've noticed over the past couple of years of doing this in the Texas market, is that the Texas cap rates are a little bit lower than most places, first of all. And really, this Kingsland area, although it is kind of outside of the Atlanta metro area, the cap rate is, that area is booming and growing. So, a lot of people, they're looking for, on properties like, in the country, I'm not going to pay a cap rate lower than 8%. But the truth is there's no deals out there like this. All right, so if you're looking for a property out in the middle of nowhere and you're trying to get an A cap, it's going to be very, very difficult to find. In fact, we rarely ever find that, honestly. So we are typically in Texas, California, and a lot of Florida. We're doing like 6 cap numbers, but then and then all the other places we're really running our numbers at like at a 7 cap. Okay, that's kind of where we're at. And, we believe in giving the owners a fair offer, and not cheating them and not making them feel like crap a lot of the times. When you give like a really low ball offer on a property, then it just pisses them off. Really pisses the owners off. And, we don't want to do that. We want to build a relationship with them. So we try to be fair. Now, okay, so now on my deal analyzer, remember anybody can purchase this deal analyzer. You just go to my website, but anything is in yellow is what you fill in. So the question is, what do you ask the owners when you talk to them? What information do you need, right? Everything in yellow is what you need. You need the annual income, the number of units, the total square footage, your vacancy, right? And then you need all these expenses here. What's the property maintenance? Like how much are you going to be spending for your boots on the ground and maintaining the property? How much is your staffing? Staffing is your call center, whoever's going to answer your phone, whoever's handling your auction process. Okay, so it's really where your two people that you're going to be helping you, or if you're going to do it, you're going to do it yourself. You can do it yourself, but like, and then when you click on the deal analyzer sections on ours, at least, there's a formula you can see. So you can see kind of how we're running the numbers to get to that formula. All right, but anything in yellow, you can always override, right? You can always say like, no, I can do it cheaper, or no, it's going to be more expensive or whatever. And you could come in and you could change it. But we try to put all the formulas in, basic, generic. I mean, we've looked at every property in every country. I mean, every country, every state. And and this is also based on our expenses as well too. We run our expenses kind of high, so maybe if you're buying a little tiny facility that's like 50 units or something, maybe your expenses won't be as high, because the expenses here are really coming out to about maybe anywhere from 32 to 38% based on the purchase price. And the higher the purchase price, the more expenses, the lower the purchase price, the lower the expenses. Okay. But I've talked to I have like one student I talked to was like, I run my property at 27%. And I'm like, well, great, do that then, you just change your numbers. That's all you have to do, but we don't. We're expensive. Like we run our numbers high. So we run our numbers conservatively. Okay, so you can see here that you need to figure out how much it's going to cost for your initial clean out, and then a like if you're going to do any new build or renovations or capex or something like that, and then you're looking at your closing costs, right? How much is it going to close it? If you're going to close it yourself, right? Maybe it's just a 1% close a cost, but if you're going to get a realtor to close it, then you need to change this to 3. So it could be anywhere from like 1 to 3% to close the property. You could just update it any way that you want. The property taxes are a formula in our deal analyzer, but if they come out to be higher than what our number is, then you just override it, right? So it looks like she overrode this. She overrode this and this as well too. All right, so she basically put these numbers in, but if you end up buying my deal analyzer, there is a formula as well too. So if you're like, cannot get the information from the owner, then you could just leave our formulas in and you'll be close, okay? But you really do need the annual income, the number of units, the total square footage, and the vacancy. Okay, this kind of like, that's it. Your market cap rate, we could change it to 6. I could change it to 7, 8 cap, whatever you want to run your numbers at. Okay. And then here you can see that we run on the deal analyzer, we run our numbers in 3 different ways: the current, the potential, and the after updates. Current is like as is right now, what is the value of the property based on the numbers that you're giving me. Potential is when we're taking it from, if it's a mismanaged facility at like 50% full to 8%. Our goal is 8% full, right, on all of our properties. And so this is us just trying to get to our goal. Now, obviously this one's full. Okay, so look, it's 2% and we change our numbers to 8% because we do run our numbers at 8%. Rarely ever is our property always 98% full. It's just not that way, right? So we're running our numbers at 8%. And then once you get into bigger properties, you may want to even increase this. You want to say, look, if you're buying a $3 million property, you may want to change it to 15%. right? Because it is hard to keep your occupancy up. So you have to keep that in mind. A smaller facility, you can maybe hit 8 or 10%. And then bigger facilities, your vacancy is going to go down. So you want to run your numbers at a different percentage. Okay. The one thing I wanted to show you is this after update section. After updates for us really just means opportunity. Opportunity is like, what can we increase the rent, right? Or can we add more units, right? So obviously, if you're going to add more units, you can change this number. If you're going to add more units, you're going to be changing the square footage number as well too. Okay, so you would just change these two numbers. So if I could add 100 units, right, I could do that, or 10 units, 10,000 square feet or whatever it is, so you just change those numbers. We're not doing that here because you know that like it's just 0.69 acres. There's 88 units and that's it. The good thing is that when you think about that, 0.69 acres is less than an acre, right? And he has 88 units on this property. So it kind of gives you an idea too of like how many units can you put onto an acre property. I mean, you can really typically, if you have a square piece of property, you should be able to put 100 units on that property. And this is exactly a very good example of that. Now, if you had some sort of like weird shape and stuff, it might change the sizes. But people ask me all the time, if I have an acre of land, how many units? And say acre of land typically is 100 units, unless it's like some completely god awful weird shape or something. Okay. All right, so now you can see this is what you're filling out. Anything in yellow, this is only change the cells in yellow and only when you have to. All right, so anything in yellow is what you're gonna need to get from the owner so that you can input it into your analysis, whether or not you use my dill analyzer or somebody else's dill analyzer. This is the information that you're gonna need in order to run the analysis. On the info tab, which is the tab that we're on, these are like your inputs. This is what you're inputting into the dill analyzer so that you can get your valuation. You need this number right here. This is the most important number of all the numbers, this 0.67. Now you can see here under current that it's 40, right now it's $62,000, 88 units and 13,000 square feet. He's at, and 2% vacancy. He's at 40 cents a square foot, right? What does the competition call for? That's the question of the day. What does the competition call for? And so that is why we have the unit mix and oh God, please don't do this again. Yeah, the unit mix and the competition tabs. So let's see. So you can see here that we ask the owners, like, what's your unit mix and what are you charging for your units? Right. Obviously, he doesn't have a website, so you can't go on and look at what he's charging. And a lot of times, whatever's on your website is not really what you're charging, right? So, you want to make sure that you ask the owner, what's your unit mix and what are you charging? And he has 10 by 14s and 10 by 28s. Right. So he has 82 10 by 14s and he has six 10 by 28s. And we also can differentiate between outside and inside access, if it's climate controlled or not, okay? And so you can see here that he's got 82 units. It's 11,480 square feet, and he's charging $60 for those units. And he has 10 by 28s. He's got 6 of those. It's 1,680 square feet, and he's charging 100. Right, so that comes out to 43 cents a square foot and 36 cents a square foot. Okay. Now, what does the competition call for? Right. So you can see here there's a competition section and there's an after update section. After updates is if you're going to add more units, right? That's why it says plus minus units right here. Okay. Or if you're going to change the price, you can increase or decrease the price. The competition comes from this section right here, right? So you can see here that we've got the 10 by 14s and then the 10 by 28s here, and we're calling the owners and we're doing apples to apples. We're trying to figure out what are all the other competitors charging for these two sizes. All right, do they have them and what do they charge? And so you can see that we have a lot of competition, right? Within like a 10, like this last one here is in 10 miles, but within like a 2-mile radius, you have like a whole bunch of competitors. Okay. So that's kind of what we look at is miles away. And then you can add up the square footage and you could put the square footage there. You can say, okay, that way you can do basically what you do is you calculate your your net square foot per capita, which basically means that you add up all of these competitors, what is their total square footage, and then you can divide that by the population. But you have to get the population as well too for that area. Okay. But you can always look at the competition, the square footage, and say, oh, there's a lot of, you could say like, oh yeah, there's a lot of competitors in this area. What is the total square footage? Is there too many competitors in this area? Is it oversaturated? There is a lot of competitors in this area. Well, you're calling up the competitor and you're asking them, I think, what does she have here? Yeah, are they full or are they not full? So you can see whatever ones answered, they said, no, they're not full. Yes, they are full. I would say most of the facilities in this area are probably going to be mostly full, but not completely full because it's just such a booming area. And then you can see here that the prices, right? So you can see that we're charging $60 and $100 on our property, and the competitors are charging anywhere from $75 to $130 for a 10 by 14, and they're charging $132 to $200, right? So it comes out to $97 for a 10 by 14, and a 10 by 28 is $160, which is 69 cents a square foot and 57 cents a square foot. Okay. So, yeah, so you want to, you want to know what the average price per square foot is. And so that you can take this, which on our dill analyzer, essentially these numbers right here automatically go into this right here. So you can see it's the 69 and the 57, which comes out to 67 or 68 cents a square foot, right? That's the more average price for competitors. Okay, for the units. And that number is going right here on the info page. And so this number is really the number. It's one of the most important numbers in your dill analysis. Okay. And so you can see here, now that we've got all this yellow filled out, you can see kind of what the valuations come out to, right? 535,000. And if you at 40 cents a square foot and at 67 cents a square foot, it's around $1 million. All right. So if he was actually at 67 cents a square foot, he could sell it, he could sell his property at $1 million, but he's not at 67 cents a square foot. He's at 40 cents a square foot. So the question of the day is, what should we offer the property? What should we offer for the property? And this is where the financing comes in, right? Obviously, it all depends on how you're going to pay for this thing. Are you going to pay for it in cash? Are you going to get some creative deal structures going, or are you going to have to go to a bank and get a property? Okay. So, yeah, so this is what we're doing is we're running numbers based on what your financing solution is. All right. So it really depends on you. I mean, are you going to be able to pay cash for this thing? Do you have 500 grand? Or are you going to have to go and get a bank terms? Now, the banks right now are super conservative. And this is back when we ran our numbers at 25% down and 6.5% interest. This is an older lead, couple months. But I would say right now, you really should be running your numbers at 30% down and 8% interest. This facility is an income producing property. It will definitely not work for an SBA loan, but you can always run numbers on an SBA loan as well too, right? So the bank financing for a conventional loan is going to be around 30% down and 8% interest. So at $510,000, if we could get it at $510,000, then it would be an 18% cash on cash return. And the mortgage would be around maybe almost $3,000 a month, right? So you're running your numbers based on whatever the bank is telling you on this column. Or you could always run your numbers on what your lender, your private lender tells you. Right. If you ran it on, if you can get an interest only loan, right, then your numbers would change. And on the dill analyzer, you can run it either as fixed interest or interest only. And some banks actually offer interest only loans for maybe the first 6 months or a year now, just to get you to work with them and stuff. Okay. And try to help you with your dill and stuff. So you can always ask the banks like, hey, do you do interest only loans? But, so that's how you can run the bank or the private financing. And then the owner financing right here, you can see that, when you're running your numbers, this is what you really need to know. You need to know, what is the down payment going to be, what's your interest rates going to be, and how long of a balloon and is your loan going to be for, and then what is the amortization. Okay, so if you want to try to get the seller to seller finance, which we really push seller financing, then we just run our numbers this way. So you can see that we offered a little bit more money for seller financing, because the thing is with bank financing, the DSR is not that important. I mean, sorry, but is very, very important. You want to know what the DSR is. Whereas in seller financing, who cares about the DSR, right? Um, so we always offer a little bit more money for the seller financing, but we always have, and this is kind of our basic offers, is like, okay, 10% down, 15% and 20% down. And then we start with 4.5 and 5% interest. And then we run our numbers at 10 over 20 years. But the truth is these three offers are, this three offers could be like a plethora of different numbers. I mean, you could have different offers. You could have different down payment, different purchase price, different down payments, different interest, different balloons. You could change this to interest only. You could change, you could do, there's like a million different ways that you could run these numbers. So you just have to try to come up with what is the best number that works for you based on cash flow, but then also what is the best number that works for the owner based on what they want as well too. And you can ask the owner, you could be like, hey, so I'm going to do like a couple of creative deal structures. Like, do you have a mortgage on this property? Is like the down payment really important so we can pay this mortgage off? Or are you okay with getting maybe a slightly bigger mortgage payment? And a lot of times they'll say like, look, I need to be making $6,000 a month or whatever. And so then you just run your numbers based on like what their needs are. And this is just a conversation that you have with the owner. Especially what we do is we kind of start off with this kind of an offer here, and we'll just do like a very generic offer. And then they say, oh yeah, I'd be interested in doing some seller financing, and I say, well, then just tell us, like, was any of the ones offers that we gave you, were they close to what you want, or is there something else that you need? And then you just start really negotiating with the owner. But that's how you play around with these little calculators here, so that you can come up with a whole bunch of offers. So we came up with a $510,000 cash offer, and then we came up with $600,000 owner financing offers. And then we also ran the numbers going to a bank and came up with, like, that's how we came up with the $510,000. It's because we wanted to make sure that, we could afford the mortgage. All right. And then, so these numbers are all populated on this like financing inputs page, and you can see there's like the cash on cash and the net after the mortgage, and like, what your terms are, how much money the owner is going to make if they sell or finance is a super, super important number. And so you could say here, pay off the total paid. Like, so if he took offer number one at $600,000 at 20% down, 4% interest, he would make $756,000, right? So he'd make an extra $150,000 in interest just by seller financing the deal. So we really push that. We really try to get the owners to understand. It's like, look, I could pay the bank that, or I could pay you that. Why don't you just let me pay you? And then you could always change the terms of the balloons. Let's just say, hey, I'll do that for 5 years. It's like, okay, well then in 5 years, you'll make $87,000. All right. And you could play around with all these numbers. You could do all kinds of stuff. And if you want to have a lower payment, you could say, look, what if I amortize it over 30 years? If I do a 5-year balloon and amortize it over 30, you're going to get $2,300 a month. Is it okay if I pay you $2,300 a month for the next 5 years? And then after that, I'll either sell the property or refinance out. And a lot of times they're open to this. So we always we run 5 different offers at the same time. Okay, is what we do. Another thing I wanted to point out too is, like, let's just say that you do have to go to the bank and get a loan. So, we're here at this $510,000. You want to make sure that your DSR works. So up here in the left corner, you can see that the bank financing needs to be picked. Once you turn it, you can run your numbers 5 different ways at the same time, right? So we pick bank financing. Nothing really changes except for the debt to service ratio, right? The DSR is super important to the banks. They really want to have a 1.3 DSR, right? So to get into a 1.3 DSR currently at the interest rate that is out there in the world, that would make this property probably worth, let's say, 400,000. Right, let's go to the DSR and you could see 1.2. Yeah, so around $400,000 is what we would have to offer on this property in order to be able to go and get a bank loan right now. Okay. And I want to point that out to everybody because people don't realize that money don't get you very far right now. And that's what you have to tell the owners as well too, is like, look, if I was going to go to a bank and get a loan based on your $62,000 that you're making right now, like I'm going to have to offer you $400,000. Okay. And just in order to get that DSR to 1.2. Okay. Now, if you want more money than that, then why don't you just sell or finance it to me? I'll pay you 600 grand. I'll pay you $600,000 if you sell or finance it because I don't care what the DSR is. All I care about is my cash on cash return. All right, so you see how kind of that conversation's going. This is the exact same conversation that we had with this guy. This is exactly how we had this. We had this. And after we went back and forth and talked to this guy and came up with a whole bunch of different offers, he was adamant that he didn't want anything less than $800,000 on this property, right? That's what he wanted. Right. So, obviously there's no way that you could pay $800,000 for this property. And even if you even if you own or financed it, it'd be very difficult to get to that. But we did push that. We said, look, we can get you to $800,000 if you can sell or finance it. So what if we do $650,000 down and we do a 10-year loan and we amortize it over 20 years? You're going to make $315,000 in total. In 10 years, you'll make $800,000. Would that be something that you're open to, right? So a lot of times if they have that number stuck in their mind, we really try to do the owner financing and try to get them to that number by seller financing over the course of 5 or 10 years. But this guy, he was like, he just wanted $800,000 now. All right. So if you run the numbers at what he actually wants, you could see it's $800,000 with a down payment of 30% and 8% interest. The mortgage comes out to $4,600 or $4,700, and the cash on cash is like less than 2%. So I mean, the numbers don't work. And this is an example of an owner just like he has a number stuck in his mind, and he's not going to sell his property until he gets that number. Right. But we went through the whole process of talking to him, getting the information, putting all of the information from him into the deal analyzer, running our numbers and making an offer based on like what we thought would be a good, fair offer. And that's how we come up with the magic letter, right? Which is created right inside the deal analyzer. And you could see our offers were $510,000 and then $600,000 for the seller financing. And then here's the terms that we were offering. Here's how much money he would make over the course of the length of the loan. And this is the total net to the owner. Right. And then, we would say we could close in 45 days or so close in 90 days and, have a due diligence period of 45 days. Then you could change the numbers. And we have that like right here, actually. So you could change the numbers. You could say, look, if you sell or finance this to me, I can close in like 60 days. I just need like 20 days of due diligence and I need like 60 days to close. And then that will just be generated right onto the letter here. It just changes those numbers right here. But, so you can see the info, the financing inputs are very, very important. So you can really run your numbers and come up with a whole bunch of different offers. You can run 5 different offers at the same time on this deal analyzer. And another thing that's really cool about this thing too, I wanted to show y'all is that here's the cash flow. So this is really kind of showing you based on the different offers that we have, our cash flow currently would be around this number. Right. And then after updates, remember, this is once you increase the rates and stabilize the property, you would be at this, at these numbers here. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at your deal, you're looking at, okay, currently this is where I'm going to be. So I know I'm going to have to come out of pocket to stabilize these properties, increase the rents, etc. Really, all you have to do is just increase the rent, and then maybe some people would leave, but you'd have to, just re-rent those prop. On this one, would be very easy, honestly, to stabilize this property, and then total after you really stabilize it and get it to 10%, vacancy or fuller, you would be at anywhere from an 11% to a 26% cash on cash return. And you just look at the numbers, you can see the gross income, the operating expenses, and then you have the NOI minus your mortgage, and then you get that cash on cash return. Okay, so it shows you the cash flow as well too. So you want to be looking at your cash flow as well as running the numbers for the offer on the financing inputs. All right. And then we run our numbers. We look at the valuation current, right? And how much income it's making minus the vacancy, minus the expenses is the NOI, minus your mortgage. We look at the potential. This is if you have to get it from 50% full to 10% full. And then we look at the after updates, which is opportunity. When we're increasing the rent or we're adding units, we're evaluating the property that way as well too. So there's really 3 different ways to look at your property when you're evaluating it. And then, so this is available for anybody to purchase, but I wanted to show you this exactly the offer that we made. The owner did not like our offer. He wanted to have more money, obviously, so we didn't get it. But so we went back and forth on this property to see if we could come up with a solution. He wanted to work with us, but like he just wanted more money than we were willing to spend, which is typical, so it was a really good, it was a really great deal, honestly. It's just that it just takes a little long. So that is a typical lead that we found, like we find just by, virtually driving for dollars, calling the owner to see if they're interested in getting an offer, getting all the information from the owner, putting into the deal analyzer, creating the folder, creating the executive summary so we can really analyze the deal, and then looking at the numbers of the property, and then putting the financing inputs in, and then putting the financing inputs in, coming up with like 4 different offers that we send over to the owner, having him look at the offers and then come back with a counter, and then basically like negotiating. And a lot of times we'll hop on Zoom and meet the owner and talk to him as well too. He did not want to get on Zoom. He was like old school. He doesn't have a website or anything. So he couldn't even figure out technology. He just had a phone. That was it. So he didn't want to meet us on Zoom or anything. And then we were going to have one of our students go out there and meet him, but the purchase price was so high. Like, the difference in the purchase prices were so high because he wanted $800,000 and we wanted to offer 500 to 600,000 is what we wanted to offer. And we just decided to like move on and just like, not waste our time anymore. So, but that's a very good property. Anybody could always call him and see if, but he's really adamant about the 800 grand, unless y'all can talk him down or whatever, but we just couldn't do it. So, but that's a good example of stage 1, right? Finding a deal and really trying to put the offer and get it under contract. Okay, so I wanted to show you all an example of a lead that we find that was found through turnkey acquisitions is what it was. Okay, and so you're more than welcome to go to the website stacyrossetti.com and just click on the storage nerds. That's where the turnkey acquisitions information is if you're interested in having us help you send you leads. Turnkey acquisitions is really lead generation. And then the deal analyzer is also on the website as well too. So you can just do it on your own if you want, right? So just go to stacyrossetti.com. And then you can just get the deal analyzer as well too. So I just want to make sure that y'all know that here's the deal analyzer. You can buy that. And then here's Storage Nerds. Here's the coaching program, and here's turnkey acquisitions. All right, or you could just get the online course. It's super simple self-storage. So make sure y'all come to my website and then just check everything out. Everything's there for you. Okay. Okay, all right. It's 2:00, so I'm running out of time. But I appreciate you guys all hanging out and listening to me, and I will see you guys next week. All right, take care.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Storage Nerds. Hope this informative conversation inspired you to go out there and jump into this highly profitable business venture that people rarely talk about. Get more tips on storage space investing at www.stacyrossetti.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave a rating. Together, let's build that thriving passive income one storage space at a time. Until next time.